Screen Actors Guild president wants you to know that Disney is using gender shaming and bullying tactics over Scarlett Johansson's lawsuit. I understand the bullying a little bit. The term gender shaming, I don't really understand. It's to criticize her for being a woman. I understand fat shaming. Like, if the guy's fat, you're making fun of him for being fat. I don't think anything she said makes any sense with her contract to complain about her being a woman. So, this is coming from a Hollywood Reporter. Let's get into the article. Before we do, be sure to subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications. Gabriel has additionally commended the Black Widow star for shining a white-hot spotlight on the improper shifts in compensation that companies are attempting to slip by as distribution models change for films. Talking about, okay, when films go on streaming versus when films are in movie theaters. She's claiming that they're trying to just kind of slip this change by, and it affects actors' compensation, and they should be concerned about it. I mean, it's true, they should be concerned about it. It is affecting compensation, but I'm not sure they're slipping it by. Here's her quote. Disney should be ashamed of themselves. So they should be shamed, okay? Disney should be shamed of themselves for resorting to tired tactics of gender shaming and bullying. I still don't understand the gender shaming. If you can explain that to me in the comments, please let me know. Are they saying that her comments were inherently female, and then as a result they mocked her femininity in some way? The leader of the Performers Union said in a statement released on Friday, if I don't get back to the article, I never will, actors must be compensated for their work according to their contracts. They should be. Scarlett Johansson is shining a white-hot spotlight, very bright, on the improper shifts in compensation that companies are attempting to slip by as distribution models change. Well, I mean, some of this is very difficult to compensate. You should know that. And additionally, the accusation that Disney is not living up to his contract is something to look a little more deeply into, because it doesn't exactly say what Scarlett Johansson and her attorneys are saying publicly that it says in her contract. They're also doing a strange approach to sue of torturous interference, making the claim that not that Marvel is at fault, but that Disney is at fault, and their deal was with Marvel. It's kind of interesting. We'll get into that later. She added, nobody in any field of work should fall victim to surprise reductions in expected compensation. Wait a minute. I mean, it depends on what their deal is. You know, if it's a back-end deal and there happens to be a pandemic, it's going to affect your compensation. People are not back in movie theaters yet. Not the same way they were. It's unreasonable and unjust. Disney and other content companies are doing very well and can certainly live up to their obligations to compensate its performers whose art and artistry are responsible for the corporation's profits. Yeah, I mean, it's the old battle between talent and distributors of content. It's an old battle. It's in comics and Comicsgate now. And professionals should build their own audiences if they can and sell direct to consumers and then expand that as a business. Johansson prompted a surge of news stories and debate when she filed a lawsuit in late July alleging that her Black Widow contract had been breached. After this company released the latest Marvel film simultaneously in theaters and on Disney Plus, I love that name, Premier Access, for an added $30, the film star contested in the lawsuit that she had been promised a wide theatrical release and that Disney had pursued a dual release for its own benefit. Well, I mean, it's the company. They have to pursue the company's benefits while at the same time honoring all their contracts. So to say that they pursued a dual release or a single release or no release for its own benefit, I mean, it wouldn't. They're basically, that's not a good statement to make, because you'd be making a statement that the people I'm working for are pursuing things for their own benefit to the exclusion of the benefit of the talent in a way that violates the contract. But they're supposed to pursue their own benefit. That's what they're in. They're just not supposed to do it at the expense of the talent. In its initial statement on the suit, Disney retorted. There is no merit whatsoever to this filing. The lawsuit is especially sad and distressing in its callous disregard For the horrific and prolonged global effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, Disney has fully complied with Ms. Johansson's contract, and furthermore, the release of Black Widow on Disney Plus with Premier Access has significantly enhanced its ability to earn additional compensation on top of the $20 million she's received to date. Oh, no, they didn't. Oh, no, they didn't. They didn't say how much she was given as a guarantee on this film. Yes, they did. They outed Scarlett Johansson, and boy, did Johansson get angry. She did not like that. Their team did not like Disney saying, we fronted her $20 million, and she is going to get back end, and she is going to participate. Do you want the whole contract? So they were mad about that. Like several women's equity-focused, whatever that is, organizations, including Time's Up, Reframe, and Women on Film, which flagged Disney's initial response to Johansson's lawsuit as a gendered character attack. Again, is it a female trait to supposedly not be understanding of the change in business environment due to a pandemic that hopefully Disney had nothing to do with? I assume they didn't. So I don't know how they associate that with her gender. It's getting further and further removed from reality. Carteris honed in on the gendered tone of the company's comments. Additionally, we are deeply concerned by the gendered tone of Disney's criticism of Ms. Johansson. Women are not callous, okay, when they stand up and fight for fair pay. Are men? They are leaders and champions for economic justice. Well, she's not claiming that she wasn't compensated appropriately because she was a female. She's claiming that she wasn't compensated appropriately because Disney did not control the release of her movie to her satisfaction to compensate for the pandemic's effect on the entertainment industry. That's what she's sort of saying here. Women have been victimized by pay inequality for decades, and they have been further victimized by comments like those in Disney's press statements. Interesting. No examples, I guess. Maybe it's true, but where are they? These sorts of attacks have no place in our society, and SAG-AFTRA will continue to defend our members from all forms of bias. Even if your movie doesn't do well, they will make sure you get paid as if it does do well. And Carteris is just the latest major industry advocate for talent rising to Johansson's defense, and studios continue to alter their initial theatrical plans for film releases due to the pandemic. They're not even saying amid the pandemic, not even saying due to the pandemic. It is due to the pandemic. It is. You know, I'm not a defender of Disney in all cases, in all situations. It's very clear that Johansson's team was in some kind of conversations with Marvel about what they were doing with the release of Black Widow. There were rumors months ahead of time, and they were talking about will Black Widow be released for Premier Access on Disney Plus, which is their rental service, on top of their subscription platform. You know, will it be released that way? Will it not be released that way? Her team had been in conversation with Disney about it and didn't come to a resolution about it. That said, there are other things that affected the release beyond the pandemic. The movie makers decided they did not want Robert Downey Jr. in it as Iron Man, even though he could have made an appearance in it. And the idea was to make it a girl film only and to make the focus just be on her. And that has a price. You know, if you had had Iron Man in that movie, you would have seen at least 10% more on the box office. At minimum, at least 10% more. Maybe more revenues, because it would have been more interesting. They could have associated it more with the Avengers, because, you know, Iron Man's a big part of the Avengers. And they didn't do that. And they could have, and they chose not to do that for creative choices. And beyond that, Black Widow is not a see twice movie. I saw the movie. It was not good. They had some scenes I thought that were cool. But it wasn't good. If it's not good, it's not going to do well. That's their problem. On discussions on the lawsuit, it is kind of interesting because there was this whole public discussion and this whole press release about how if Disney guaranteed in their contract that she should have an exclusive release, then it should be an exclusive release. Why would they release the movie on Disney Plus or on Disney Plus Premier Access pay-per-view if it said clearly in her contract that she was supposed to get an exclusive release? Well, this article came out a few days earlier. Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow lawsuit is game-changing but maybe legally weak. Why might it be legally weak? Well, again, there was this whole publicity push. You know, she's a woman, okay? She deserves to have her contract honored. Very true, regardless. But there's not necessarily a breached deal. In her complaint, Johansson bases her theory of a breached deal on contract that states if producer in its sole discretion to determine the release of the picture, in its sole discretion, so they understand that, then such a release shall be a wide theatrical release of the picture. Example, no less than 1,500 screens. So according to the suit filed by the actress, at the time of the agreement that was entered into, it was well understood by the parties in Disney that a theatrical release referred to an exclusive release. That's not the same thing. So the lawsuit is claiming, hey, you agreed to an exclusive release, and it was widely understood it was an exclusive release in theaters for an extended period of time of 90 to 120 days, with the exception of certain less valuable direct-to-video releases. It had long been custom and practice with the film industry for feature films to have at least a 90-day exclusive window. That before it's released on any kind of home video. Streaming is not home video. It's similar, but it's not the same thing. Premier Access is not even the same thing. Pay on demand is not the same thing as a streaming video contract. So these are absolutely different things. And as the article says, the problem is that the contract doesn't explicitly say exclusive. And as far as industry custom and what's understood by the parties, that was before a pandemic disrupted pretty much everything. Because the pandemic did dramatically affect the entertainment industry. It may go back to something sort of similar to what it was before, just like the United States might. But it's not going to be exactly the same. Hopefully it will be in the United States. So given a virus that was causing movie theaters to close and moviegoers to stay away from the ones that were open, Disney can certainly defend itself by saying the decision to stream was warranted. In contract law, there's also a concept called frustration of purpose, where contractual delay is excused upon an unforeseen event, hello COVID-19, that impedes performance. So even if the understanding was that there'd be an exclusive release in theaters, if all the movie theaters are closed, are they supposed to just not release the movie? Now, should they renegotiate the contract with the talent? They should have discussions. But Johansson's not claiming that they refused to have discussions. They probably did have discussions. Of course they had discussions. You know, businesses do that. You know, when you have a transaction and something goes wrong, there are going to be some kinds of conversations. I could be wrong though. I would be surprised. If there were if Disney refused. But what's interesting is what Johansson's team is trying to do is they're using a claim of torturous interference where Disney interfered with Marvel's contract. That's what they're saying. And I just find it ironic and kind of funny because, like, obviously Disney controls Marvel. Marvel may have it be a separate business corporation entity, but it's fully owned by Marvel. So Disney has a control over Marvel. So if Marvel's contract says, look, we're going to have this exclusive release, yes, Disney saying, hey, you know what? You're a subsidiary of ours. We're not going to honor any of these exclusive release contracts. yes, Disney would be interfering with Marvel's contract, but it would be the same party, like the same person, the same entity screwing with the contract. But the reason that the Johansson people are doing that, are saying, well, it was torturous interference by your parent company, Disney, is they're trying to get out of the arbitration clause, which is probably, so the arbitration clause is when business disputes by contract are handled by outside of court, more privately, and you can discuss the merits of the argument. And that's what Johansson's team is trying to avoid. They're trying to avoid being forced into arbitration, which is, per this article and just industry practice, arbitration is really where these things get forced into to be settled, to keep these kinds of things from happening in court. So what's going to happen with the lawsuit, I don't know. But you can see why Johansson's team started to try to get the narrative out publicly that it was an exclusive release through theaters and it was never supposed to be a Disney Plus movie, and Disney doesn't have the authority and the right in their contract to make a Disney Plus movie, when realistically they probably do. But hopefully Johansson will get more millions. I do like the aggressive response by Disney to at least identify and say, hey, look, we did give her $20 million. It's not like we gave her nothing and said, hey, we're going to make this some kind of wacky pay-per-view movie. They should have let Tony Stark be in it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Should Disney just give as many millions to this woman for their gendered attack as possible? Should she file a police report about her gendered attack? Let me know what you think. And also, be sure to check out my work. If you want to support me, subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications. You could also check out the Mermaids comic book. It is a new series I'm putting out, and the book is at the printer. It's shipping very, very soon. It's about a teacher who joins a team of rebels determined to overthrow and kill a powerful mermaid queen. That's at epicmermaids.com. You can also check out collegeofthedead.com, where college costs you an arm and a leg. This one also is shipping already right now. All right, I'll see you again soon with another video, and if I don't see you, I will miss you.